Pine, just a bit of aerial acrobatics there.
Dia starting to go crazy here.
Sabiobi coming in for the finishing touches.
The Dragons will not be stopped.
Yeah, he basically shut that down all by himself.
Great moment for MG. This is everything for the Shanghai Dragons. Jonak from downtown.
Finishes him off.
Oh, he's going for it.
They get it!
Pine doesn't let him get away. No subtlety required with only 9 seconds left in the round. It's go, go, go.
We are back with a packed house here in the Blizzard Arena. Make some noise, everybody. It is time to get into our second match of the day. I'm your host, Chris Puckett, joined by the full desk in action. We got Crumbs, Reinforce, and Zoe with us once again. Zoe, pretty good start to the day for Philadelphia.
Indeed, that didn't go at all as we predicted. Definitely didn't go as Dallas predicted. Well, okay, you got it. But you also made a last-second kind of switch up there. Just saying, he actually picked Fusion during our discussion prior to the match happening. Calling you out on it.
It's game time play, and you made the right one there. Nice job there, Crumbs. Well, that first match is in the books, and here's a look at the schedule for the remainder of the day. It was Philly up 4-0 over the Dallas Fuel. They now will join Houston with 5 wins, as well as the Valiant. But this big one here is going to decide, will New York Accelerator be the first team to get to 6 match wins? We close out the day, though. It's a battle between 2 of the top 3 squads, London Spitfire versus Seoul Dynasty. Are you guys pumped for that one? How about this one? Let's keep the party rolling as we introduce our first team to the stage. It's a squad representing the Big Apple. Let's hear it for the New York XL. Big Boss Pine leading the charge for the New York XL, and this squad surprised everybody last week. They come in with a 5-1 record after beating the Seoul Dynasty in a Game 5.
Yeah, you know what? Sabiobi had been feedback in the match against Seoul Dynasty, and thanks to the aggressiveness of the NYXL tanks, Libero and Sabiobi had plenty of space to outdo the DPS from Seoul Dynasty. That's a big feat. However, as you just saw, Sabiobi is not in the starting lineup. Today we're going to have Pine and Libero play.
It's always hard to decide whether you go for a high five or a fist bump, and it's also very hard to decide who you're going to be fielding, because now you have Pine in the starting lineup, and typically he was playing Control, and he wasn't even played at all in their victory over the Seoul Dynasty. So right now, we just get to see a new dimension of the New York XL that hopefully shows just as much fireworks.
Yeah, Pine was riding the Pine last match. They still walk away with the W. Today, they put him in the starting lineup. Johnny, why would you go with this move if you're New York?
I think we're going to see a lot of Widowmaker. And Libero has shown in the past that he's pretty proficient on the Junkrat as well. So I think that maybe we're expecting a bit of dives coming out of Shanghai Dragons, despite Undead popping off on the McCree. So I think Pine is the one popping up on the McCree today, or the Widowmaker, of course, his 2 most famous heroes, and then we're going to see Libero on the Junkrat.
I feel like New York was kind of running under the radar coming into the preseason and even the first few weeks. They are now a household name. Keep your eyes on this XL squad as they look to climb to the top of the leaderboard. For now, though, we have to introduce their opponent, and this is the squad that is stealing hearts all over the world. Show some love for the Shanghai Dragons.
Let's go.
Finish off with the backflip, young man. Roshan leading the charge. This squad is coming in at 0-6, but every single match, every single week, we see improvement. And even though they went 0-2 in last week, they took a very strong Philly squad all the way to a Game 5.
They really did. Their series against the Fusion started off pretty one-sided as Philadelphia won the first 2 maps in a dominant fashion. But then, out of nowhere, Undead just popped off and carried them to victory in Game 3 on Oasis. And honestly, Chunkadown could have gone either way too.
Yeah, and actually we saw a lot of teamwork coming out of Dia and Undead, of course. Like, they paired up, they shut down Carper from Philadelphia Fusion, and actually it looked pretty good. So I'd say with every week, these guys are actually starting to improve. And I think moving forward, not playoff contenders like Dallas Fuel, but they can actually win some games.
I mean, at this point, the opinion can be so far-fetched. I would have believed it if you said it, but you can look at their statistics, and they're actually all improved except the healing, which is a great sign because you're already trying to heal Roshan, who's already not only significantly far ahead of his team in-game, but even in their walkout. So this team is seemingly understanding where they need to address their areas of improvement and sticking to it.
Here we go. It's a battle between a squad in the top 3 and the Dragons, who are looking for their first win. And we got to start here with the New York discussion. When you look at the big names at the top of the leaderboard, Seoul, New York, London. Is New York currently the most intimidating lineup? They just beat Seoul.
Yeah, I think they are the best team in the league so far. I know Bren said last week that New York is the best team. And I went with Seoul because I believed in them. But I think when they beat Seoul, they really showed everyone that they are the best team in the league. They have so much firepower. I mean, Libero clutching on the Genji, of course, Sabiolbi on the Tracer, JJoNak on the Zenyatta, Meko on the off-tank. I mean, all of these players are so good.
Exactly. I think what we're sleeping on is the individual talent behind this team. We try to look at New York as a more holistic six-man approach, but when you break it down to individuals, you've got so many star players that legitimately you have 2 to 3 players in this team that are making contentions for either best player in the role or just flat out best players in the league.
We talk about DPS. JJoNak is probably the most high dealing damage Zenyatta we have in the league. He is basically a 3rd DPS, even though he's playing in that support role. Keep your eyes on JJoNak as this game plays out. Crumbs, let's talk a little bit about the opponent, though. Shanghai Dragons, they do have some strengths of their own, and while teamwork was not one of their strengths earlier in the season, we're starting to see that teamwork come into play. But we also know these guys have some mechanical skill as well.
Yeah, they obviously do. You have Dia, who was at some point thought he was basically hacking because he was such a good player, but that's not going to apply in this Overwatch League. You've got players that are just as good, if not even better, playing around. So now they're having to find their footing when it comes to working as a unit, and they're doing so from the very core, which is ultimate management.
And I loved really what we saw from the Shanghai Dragons. You know, Junkertown, one of the final maps, they forced this one to go to a 5-game set. There was no die in this team. Even though they were behind on the leaderboard, behind on the scoreboard, this squad kept fighting. Dia, he showed the versatility. He can do it with the Tracer. In the preseason, he was popping off with the Widow, but we see the Junkrat. We're seeing more and more heroes into the mix now for the Shanghai Dragons. Let's talk about keys to victory. I know it's unlikely, Johnny. This is a giant going up against the Dragons. How do you take down this giant that is the New York Excel?
Oh, you're asking for quite a lot here, Puckett. That's going to be hard to take down the best team in the league. Maybe if Roshan is pretty aggressive, right? And that's pretty similar to how Fraggy plays in Philadelphia Fusion. So maybe they can shut down the DPS from New York Excelsior, taking a lot of space from those guys, and then maybe they can feed that into Undead. Undead can get a few kills on the McCree, help out D on the Tracer, so maybe... No, it's probably not going to happen, Puckett, but there is some keys to victory.
All right, so give me one player to watch. There's 12 on the stage right now for game number 1. We're going to Eichenwald. Who are you keeping your eyes on?
Oh, I want to see Pine on Eichenwald. So far, we've mainly seen him on control maps. I'm interested to see how much work he can get done for his team on Eichenwald now.
Are you guys ready for some Pine time? It's been about a week. I missed the big boss, and he is ready to play. Let's see if he's running McCree today. Let's send it backstage. We got Uber with Mr. X on the call.
Thank you very much, Puckett. Yeah, we missed him last week. You're dead right. Pine not in the roster, but wasn't required for the New York Excelsior to take down the Seoul Dynasty. But he's back now from the outset. We're going to see a different look immediately here. But the Shanghai Dragons, it seems like the longer they stay in the fight, or the longer they keep pushing themselves into these matches, they are improving drastically.
Yeah, look, I mean, this is a team that did not look very good at the beginning of the season. They're starting to hit a little bit of a stride. They're looking much better as this stage and season progresses. Is it enough to get by NYXL? Don't exactly think so, but I think they can give them a tough game. You know, it's interesting. It's like we casted Shanghai versus Seoul, in the previous week, and we were like, oh man, Shanghai gave them a really close game. And everyone's like, I know Seoul, they didn't play all our players. So they go on to lose to NYXL later in the week. So we'll see if Shanghai is the real deal, right? I mean, they ended up taking a map off against Seoul. Can they do it here against NY?
We've been asking that question of so many teams so far, and perhaps it's more than just taking a map. But again, I've been more impressed recently with the flex support play on the Shanghai Dragons. I think that we're seeing a lot more from Freefeel, especially. His Zenyatta stats were very good. In fact, a couple of times going up against Jaehong in the game last week, he was keeping in step with him. Also, we know Roshan now, he's having a bit of fun. He's got a smile on his face. We'll see how that translates here into the battlefield, because he's also been performing very well. This team has potential. No one doubts that their ceiling is high. But let's jump in. The Shanghai Dragons going up against the New York Excelsior. Gonna be a cracker, ladies and gentlemen. Strap yourselves in.
Yeah, it'll be Shanghai on defense. They're all gonna.
Ooh, the mental, the mind games already, man.
At the beginning, don't exactly know what they're going to play just yet. I think for me in the Seoul match, I thought Undead played quite well. We've seen Dia have some really nice moments on a lot of different DPS heroes. You're just waiting for Undead to kind of have that great game with him. I think you saw it against Seoul for the first time.
The DPS on this team don't concern me at all, Shanghai.
No.
They're excellent. My concern in this match is how the tanks, especially the flex tanks, match up against each other. It's a huge job for MG to go head-to-head with a player like Mecha, who is just frightening, and in my opinion, the best D.Va player in the world. I know it's superlative, but he has been incredible over the Overwatch League so far.
And NY on offense, Pine will play Tracer, Libero will play 76, and they'll go, okay, so they ran this against Soul last week.
No main tank.
Yeah, no main tank. They run double off tanks. You consider Roadhog and D.Va both off tanks. You know, Roadhog just obviously physically takes up so much space. Looks like Mono's going back to the spawn. They may switch this up here. Go with something different. Okay, so Mono's going to go to Winston. Libero will go to Pharah. So they really want to dive onto the back line here of the Shanghai Dragons. But when they run that double off tank, they've had some success with that lineup. Roadhog is, we categorize him as an off tank, takes so much space. Mono just jumps right in, gets blown up there by MG. No real action here in the first fight.
Yeah, it was a halt that was thrown out by Roshan that actually got both Meko and Mano. It prevented Meko from going up on the bridge and allowed them to get an easy core connection on towards Mano. Very, very quick start to this fight. And Libero goes in with the Pharah here. The 76 is maybe less consistent against this kind of setup with shields. Plus, we can have some Pharah v Pharah battles here. There's another hook though. Jonak this time to fall. Free field connected, but Pine's now going to try and make amends or make up for the deficit. He's found free field. Bosun Yanis have been removed from the picture, and Pine found a second. Already the action has begun. He found Roshan, but MG puts his running riot to a stop with a hook.
Yeah, the hard thing here for the Shanghai Dragons is when you're running the Junkrat and Pharah, you're really putting a ton of pressure on your Pharah and D.Va player to get the opposing offensive Pharah out of the sky.
Oh, dangerous!
Oh, 5 King gets really low and then goes right close to that mid pillar. He will fall, and it looks like NYXL will take point A.
Decent start here for the Shanghai Dragons. A couple of picks. Pine, a player we don't see much on that Tracer, in fact at all so far during this season. Now picking it up. Pulse Bomb now dropped as well. A little bit of a parting gift for Roshan. Doesn't quite complete the kill, but gets a decent amount of damage to the rest of NYXL. Are there to try and follow up, pushing the Dragons back inside the castle.
You see how aggressive they're being. As soon as they throw down that Pulse Bomb, they get Roshan very weak, potentially. Trying to dive in, finish that kill off. We do see Shanghai. They'll make a McCree switch here on Dead. Will go off of Junkrat, go over to McCree. They will keep Dia here on the far. Probably want to get some use out of that rocket barrage, potentially in this close choke.
That's it. Jonak there, finding Roshan. A good peel there from the New York Excelsior, backing up just to deal with the aggression from the Shanghai Dragons. And now they have a chance to start their own push. MG now being down after being desuited. And Dia's just 1 HP. Oh, Jonak! He gets those.
That was scary there for Dia. I thought he was as good as dead because he had Meko coming up at him right into the sky. NYXL, they have amassed all of their ultimates, so 6 ultimates for NYXL. Shanghai, you'll have both support ults here. Dia still with this rocket barrage.
Here's the push. They're slightly split though, Matt, as well. Some coming in over the top. Dia fancies the challenge out. Libero close, but he's got Discord all on him. Out the direct hit. Ouch! Undead falling to Pine as well means pretty much all the DPS potential has been stripped away from the Shanghai Dragons now. Dia's brought back up. Libero, though, has a barrage. He needs to get a little bit closer, though, if he wants to put this to good use. Looking up, does see Dia there in the distance. Feels like challenging, but has to drop down for a pit stop. One more rocket will get the job done, and he completes it. Gets up close to ensure it. Now he's going to be looking for Fire King. The Mercy just trying to dodge, duck, dip, dodge, and dove to get away from him. He gets picked off, though, undead from long range.
Yeah, he tries to get down close towards his Zenyatta using the Transcendence. Dia will get Arc here with his rocket barrage. So after all of these ultimates used by both teams, it's going to be the Shanghai Dragons taking the better of NYXL in that fight. They're able to hold on now. They have Roshan with the Primal Rage. It's a good spot for Primal Rage. We've seen, Gamsu in the past, with the Bronson Uprising, knock a few players off the side of the map here. Pine is also close to a Pulse Bomb, so potentially could open things up with a Pulse Bomb. Interested to see how Libero goes about using this rocket barrage, because when he goes up in the sky, it's going to be a very easy target for the likes of Undead.
Libero now is taking a bit of poke damage from Undead. Very sharp, the man. Definitely able to pressure this Pharah down, and now Dean was trying to follow up on the damage, but Ark has been healing the whole time, and Libero is still nice and topped up. Primal Rage, Fist of Fury, and Libero takes a big old step back, realizes now McCree's taking the high ground, trying to address that situation, but he backs away, and Undead cleans him up with a rocket up close. Libero has been sitting on this barrage for so long, but it might be the time now. He's found Fire King, and he is completely decimated somehow. Roshan catches away with rocket and also falls. The Transcendence team happens only for a couple of players, and Libero's going to be able to stay above this fight and not be harassed at all.
Yeah, the Transcendence comes in maybe a little bit too late. Maybe would have liked to just see Freefield die there, use a Transcendence, save it for another day, because at that point you just had Dia and MG live on the payload. MG is so low, he ends up getting demeched anyway. 5 King is going to get close to a Valkyrie here. We'll see if Shanghai decides to come out and challenge the card.
Okay. Decent time here for the Excelsior. They're going to get a bit of a boost now as the payload doesn't quite get to the second checkpoint yet. It's been held in stasis for the moment. And Pine needs to go and see what the problem is. It's Roshan. A bit of a doorstop in the shape of a big old monkey was the issue. He will be cleaned off now. Payload still contested. NYXL are happy to back away here. They've got the numbers advantage. They can pressure him when they need to. And Pine being very patient about this. Pulse bomb clutched closely to his breast. Now lets it go. It doesn't connect. Or it does. MG actually caught that one. Roshan gets away though.
Yeah, when they dive in and they get Undead, it's a great kill there from Mono, and then it's finished off by Pine, because Undead is the only one who can do any damage to Libero up in the sky. So as soon as they get McCree out of the equation, then you just have all this damage coming down from Libero up top.
Oh, watch out.
We'll see if he'll actually play the Pharah going into the later stages of the map. This is one of the harder areas to play Pharah, right? There's not a lot of area to just kind of hide.
It's kind of tough though, because McCree's going to take a lot of splash damage. He's going to have to be very careful about playing in the open as McCree in general. That's Barrow, so the shield provided by Pine. He switched over towards Zaya. The big boss can do it all, apparently. Now 50% charge, a good amount of damage on him, but Undead is causing problems in his backline. And he's actually found another kill there on Mono. Both tanks down the hands of Undead. That should signal the end of the push here for the New York Excelsior. And yeah, Meko now just to punctuate the points.
Yeah, this is a good switch from Libero. When you see the tanks come out from NYXL, you expect the Junkrat to come into play. Junkrat is extremely effective in this portion of the map, especially when you have big tanks on your side to just kind of barrel on through. Pine here behind enemy lines. He will get taken out, so that is a tough loss there for NYXL. Probably going to have to back up, wait until Pine gets back into the action.
Libero hoping to get maximum value out of all of his grenades here. He's actually not going up against a D though. MG has switched to Zaya himself, so he's going to be charging, MG up quite a lot inadvertently. He needs to be careful. We can expect Zaya to be doing a lot of damage in this next fight.
But it's kind of the trade you have with Junkrat and Zarya, right? So you just kind of spam the Junkrat, and not really care about the Zarya shield.
Just break it and kill the Zaya.
Yeah, that's my opinion of it, right? I mean, you just break the Zarya bubble and then just take her out. It's going to be a Graviton Surge that comes down from the Shanghai Dragons. It'll be Dia using a Pulse Bomb. You get Arc with that. He does end up taking his own line. Five King will use his Valkyrie here. We'll see if Libero can take him out with the Riptide.
Riptide might be ruining the day here. No, it doesn't get full damage on Undead, but Meko follows up. Undead was knocked up, and the self-destruct caught him before he could get back to his feet. McCree, not super mobile, but it doesn't have to be when Pine's playing like a turret. Wanting to pressure forward, Roshan shielded for a brief moment. Now the pressure that Reinhardt down. It's so hard for Roshan to protect his team. Flash! Oh! Dia actually gets blown out by Libero and not by the headshot of Pine, but that'll do the job for sure. Deadeye? For reload or zone? We'll never know, perhaps. And now you can see Roshan's getting chunked out, and Pine is relentless.
And Roshan is in such a difficult spot there playing Reinhardt.
Oh!
No help from any of his teammates. It's the Pine show now. Takes out Dia. One shot to the head of Undead as well. And that will be it. NYXL will complete their offensive push here on Eichenwalde.
Perhaps a little bit early for the dabs from Pine.
It's never too early for a dab.
Well,
Can't believe it.
we differ on that point for sure. However, Pine has come into this game now and played Tracer. He's played some Zaya. We've seen him play the McCree now. I mean, fun fact, Pine actually played flex support for quite a long time. He was passed between LW Red and LW Blue more than once. Initially was a DPS player, initially a McCree player. Comes from Team Fortress 2, by the way. And then we saw him play a bunch of different stuff. He was playing Sombra, he was playing Zenyatta, he was playing a bunch of stuff on Luxury Watch, but he was always wanting to be that DPS player. Now he gets a chance here to be a starter in this match. And he's been performing admirably, I have to say. It is hard to play McCree on some parts of this map, Matt. When you're dealing with enclosed spaces, you're going to get a lot of Pharah splash damage. Pharah can kill you without looking at you. The same with Junkrat. So it is tricky sometimes to avoid certain death, but Undead there as well. You can see he stood up. His McCree was quite impressive. The pressure on Libero required an answer from someone else on the NYXL.
So now I think the pressure, obviously, we go on to the offensive attack for Shanghai Dragons.
Offensive attack as opposed to the defensive attack.
You can attack on defense. I mean, we see teams get extremely aggressive on defense. You can be aggressive on defense.
It is a thing in this game.
But I know for Shanghai, how do they deal with Libero playing Pharah on defense, and then also the Orisa plus Roadhog combination that they're going to roll out here in NYXL. I think Mono and Meko have been one of the better, if not best, tank combination and being able to execute this halt and hook combo.
Not the hardest thing to do, of course. You just kind of throw your hook at the big green ball and then you get yourself a prize. It's like a lucky dip that you can't lose. However, the target selection is the most important part, and Meko still needs to be judicious in that decision.
There's some difficulty around it with, let's say for argument's sake, MG uses defense matrix, then you just waste halt and hook. if Roshan actually lands his barrier in time, then you lose both of them as well. Or let's say, for argument's sake, Shanghai was running an Orisa, right? You have to get that halt to the opposite side of the shield and then bring them up.
Oh, this time it works out though. MG a little bit too slow on the defense matrix, but it looks like Shanghai want to use this aggressively anyway. They want to get close to the NYXL. And New York just done them a favor and pulled them right in for a big old hug.
I'm not exactly sure if the plan is to just let Roshan get hooked over and over again here, but
maybe it is
fine here.
Maybe it is, Matt.
Go right through the Orisa shield. They do lose Roshan though, and they'll lose their other tank MG as he'll get demeched.
There it is. That's the problem. McCree's mobility there. It's so tricky. When you get caught in a hold, it is certain death. They don't even need a hook to really guarantee them finding that kill. But Diaz found Mano here. Roshan's fairly topped up on the point. He's currently getting healed, but that hook might make it hard, and it does. Jonak had the extra damage off the side, and Meko supplied the hook. I don't know who brought the cookware, but regardless, it was a meal for the NYXL, and now Meko getting held up by the Transcendence. Jonak's been a big factor. Doesn't quite land a hook there. Okay. Still up on this payload though, now just to try and sink some damage into this enemy team. A whole Hulk will definitely make a point. Perhaps slightly excessive, but the point's now being captured by the Shanghai Dragons. They've got 2 ticks here. The rest of the NYXL have voluntarily pushed off of it. They've got to get back on there now, but it's just Mano for the time being. Arc flies above here in Valkyrie form, and they've got big bodies on the point, but not a lot of damage to follow them up. Libero now is here to clean up Screw, but it might have been a little bit too late in the day. They've given so much of the control over to the Shanghai Dragons. Libero now is going to take his revenge to try and force him away. Gets Fire King there with a fade away, but he's low. Dropped. Freefield finds him.
The point is unlocked here, though, by the Shanghai Dragons. So I gotta say, we got a lot of Shanghai Dragons fans in the house today. A lot of people with the Shanghai jersey on. It's awesome to see. There's the even the Twitch chat, right? They've all got behind the Shanghai Dragons.
Well, so far they've got a good reason to cheer, Matt, because this is some good brawling from the Shanghai Dragons. They like being aggressive. One of my biggest issues with them in the past was how passive they were in so many of their games, but now they realize that they need to put pressure on these big teams like NYXL, force mistakes instead of just hoping they'll happen.
Yeah, because a lot of these teams, unless they're forced
big
into mistake,
Deadeye.
it won't happen. It'll be Undead that takes out Arc and Libero. MG will use self-destruct. You did use 3 ultimates here for Shanghai Dragons. You use Primal Rage, you use Deadeye, and you use your self-destruct. So NYXL will have their Transcendence and their own Rocket Barrage coming in soon.
Let's see how this went down. So Undead as well. It's very easily killed that Pharah Mercy combo. You can't dump altitude right now. You know you're dead. So Undead's timing was very, very good to capitalize upon that. Good little flank around the side. But the fight's still continuing here. Oh, Undead's picked Arc out of the sky there. Cool pest control, because that guy is a sharpshooter. To back up here, because Freefield's fallen. There's Zenyatta no longer present. The Pulse Bomb dropped close to Roshan. Doesn't claim his life. And now, again, another air shot, and Undead really keeping on lock here with the McCree. Some serious accuracy, and he's hitting those headshots, but he has to stay safe right now. 65 HP, no healing, and Pine takes advantage of it. Gets up in his face here, hits him like a steam train, and MG knows it's time to head the heck home.
Yeah, some nice shooting from Undead, but for me, it's just extremely impressive how NYXL able to keep their tanks alive through that. Meko just on the payload, preventing it from making any more progress for the Shanghai Dragons. Mano gets really weak, somehow makes it all the way back up top of the castle, finishing a player off right at the end.
You want to know something funny? Meko has more damage than Pine right now, and almost... is more damage than Pine and almost as much as Libero does. Far away.
I believe that. It's going to be the Transcendence that comes in from NYXL. It'll be the Valkyrie here for the Shanghai Dragons. As you see Libero, they've spotted 5 King up in the sky. NYXL with their own Valkyrie here too, so this fight should be pretty long.
Libero touches down for just a moment, then a refuel, get a bit of damage in towards MG. Freefield's been resurrected here now, he's kind of far forward. NYXL don't choose to capitalize on that.
But look, you said you want to see them be aggressive, right? They've used Valkyrie and they're not even pushing onto the payload. Now they have to use their Transcendence to get onto the payload. Have to burn both of those support ults, and then NYXL comes in with their Valkyrie later in the fight.
Well, both teams are getting lots of resurrects up here, and the self-destruct that hurt so bad. Roshan and 5 King getting cut down, and Meko just lobbing up a bit of a payload to deal with, and now everyone's going to drop down. We're going to go for a bit of a swim. Now we're back.
NYXL is at the top of the castle, right? And they're just waiting once the Valkyrie is popped from Shanghai for the push to come through. And Shanghai just stands there and just starts poking away, just doing some damage. When they use that Valkyrie, they need to commit. They need to go and be the aggressive team there.
You get value out of that healing, especially. It's not just about the resurrects. You can play more aggressively when you have Valk in play. That's kind of the point.
But by the time they use their reses, then they start to move in. They have to use Transcendence at that point. Then Arc just pops his own Valkyrie, brings players back to life. So really don't get a ton of value out of that.
Fine is hunting here. Yada perhaps for the self-destructs, giving him pause for thought. It actually comes in behind him, so he's not too worried. But Digger actually lands the barrage kill on towards JJoNak there. You can see you up on the bridge, and Meko's kind of caught out on his own. He's definitely going to get desuited here and removed. Pine drops into the low levels of the castle here. He's going to have to wait for the time being as his team are being decimated. And you can see the undead come straight forward. Arc is greeted by a salvo of orbs. And it's going to be the Shanghai Dragons now on the run. This is looking good, but JJoNak finds free field. The rest of NYXL have got to go now. I don't think they have time for this.
No, Pine's behind enemy lines. He's actually going to get a touch onto the payload. Then the Transcendence comes in. Oh, man.
Undead going to get picked
here.
up there. Transcendence now going to expire. It's just going to be MG here. Shanghai, so close, but not quite enough here. And they're going to have to go back to the drawing board. You know what? The guy who invented the drawing board never had a drawing board to go back to, so I can imagine that would have been tough for him. But Shanghai now have a reference point. 40 seconds left.
JJoNak gets a big kill on free field, and then Pine is just all the way by the underpass, just darts back to the payload, gets to contest everybody from Shanghai and turns around. Then the flood comes through the doors for NYXL. Arc already with another Valkyrie, same for 5King, and oh, Pine takes out D at the beginning. Let's see if that forces the Valkyrie out here from Shanghai. It does.
It does, no doubt about it. D needs to be brought back in this fight. They need him big time right now, and Shanghai going to push their way in. Libero, a lot of freedom right now. He's not really being scrutinized at all for the time being, but Undead will be on the hunt in a moment. It's going to be a barrage coming in here. Transcendence being used over the fight by Free Field. Roshan still falls. He drops out of healing range, and he's down. But 5King brings him back into the fight now. Surely it's going to be time for those Mercy ults, and you better believe it is. Pine drops, Free Field domes in there with an orb, and Meko finds Roshan over on the point there. You can see there's just MG on the payload. He's going to get it there. No! We're going to see NYXL jump back on towards it. Meko joins, and there it is. Mano drops in over the top. MG in Mini Diva form. Not much to do with just a Buddy Blaster. And that will be it. Shanghai are kept at the gate.
You know, the tanks for NYXL, just the presence of mind to get back towards the payload. It was very close. Mono uses Primal Rage. He actually knocks Free Field like all the way past the underpass where he has to go all the way back. You know, making his way towards the bridge. I believe Libero actually knocks him off the side of the map there, but you know, using a great use of Primal Rage to get back towards the payload then. NYXL tanks, Mono specifically. Such a crazy duo with Mono and Meko. We'll have game 2 coming up right after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
for those of you who loved a bit of anime in the late 90s, you can look at the Shanghai Dragons kind of like Goku. The longer they stay in a fight, the harder they come back. The harder they get hit, the quicker they get back up. And see how aggressive they've been playing, Matt? They definitely have the Dragon Balls, there's no doubt about it. Plenty of them around here. But let's throw it back a little bit to that previous round, because we talked about something we wanted to highlight. We came in saying there are sick tanks on the side of NYXL. We haven't seen, incredible things from the Shanghai Dragons tanks. This was a match where we would need to see them sort of lift to that level.
And I thought Shanghai, they played a really good map on Eichenwalde. It's just they playing against NYXL, who's probably the best team in the league right now. And I think we kind of highlight JJoNak all the time, right? The DPS players we have on NYXL. I think it's really their tank play that has been separating them from a lot of teams now. Mono obviously as a main tank is tremendous. I think Meko, the things he brings as an off tank, has really been the difference maker for me.
Yeah, he's been huge. So, 41 eliminations for Meko, highest on his team by a decent margin with 12 final blows. So this guy is actually taking responsibility for completing a lot of the kills. More damage done than Pine, by the way, and Pine had a very good game. Meko's out there doing, a good 22% of his team's damage. So this is our benchmark now. We have our gold standard of flex tank players in the league, but now Temple of Anubis. And one thing I've been enjoying about Shanghai is it looks like there's much more premeditation to their approach. Their strategy at Eichenwalde looked good, and now this is where they're going to be tested to the limit on how they go into coming up with plays and trying to execute.
They seem much more organized, Shanghai, than in the previous weeks, right? Their mid-game adjustments are better. They're actually making the mid-game adjustments, so we are seeing a lot of progress from this team.
And of course, as well, we saw plenty of moments from Mercy players on both sides of the coin here, but Five King obviously was in that position earlier on, had to do a lot of the Mercy work. Statistically, he played quite well. Again, for Free Feel, it's a tough match, right? You're going up against JJoNak. He's the youngest, hottest topic when it comes to flex support players. And again, JJoNak continuing to deliver that brand of excellence here, whereas Five King is the kind of player also, by the way, if you look at his stats, he actually does a lot more damage from his primary fire than his secondary fire. So if you look at it proportionally speaking, these are the stats we got given to us, he spends a lot more time weaving orbs in, because if you're right-clicking as a Zenyatta player and trying to nail people with, like the charge shot, you can't apply orbs while you're charging that up. Yeah. So someone like Five King actually prefers more to just distribute orbs as frequently and quickly as he can, then go for those big, earth-shattering damage moments.
Which is interesting, because I feel like Zenyatta's charge shot is one of the more powerful abilities.
It is the most broken ability in the game. Yeah.
Because you can just charge the shot, dart out around a corner. You're basically like unhittable, right? You just have to peek out for a split second. You can just kind of pre-fire a corner, and if you're angled right and somebody's just walking through, you could just one-shot them. So
big shout out to Magachu, by the way. He tweets about it every day.
Oh, he does?
Yep. Yeah, not a fan of that one. But yeah, so it's incredibly powerful. But so as a Zenyatta player, you have to make a decision whether you want to be more flexible in getting the orb across more
That's the trade-off.
It is.
That's the trade-off, right? You're not able to just kind of weave orbs all around, Discord Harmony, whatnot, when you're charging up.
And it's a more tempting, it's a more difficult decision than as Ana deciding whether to do damage or heal, right? Because Ana gets much more value out of healing, but because Zen can pick people off 100 to 0, it's more tempting to go for the damage, approach.
So Shanghai on defense, they will play the Orisa. No Roadhog here. They'll Dia play Junkrat. They're going to play on that lower, first platform. So we used to see a lot of teams go all the way in that back, but now you see them play forward up. Because then as soon as the dive comes in, Undead can just grapple back to that high ground where you originally would have set up. Then they've used all their mobility to get up onto this platform.
But this is the classic way of defending here on the Temple of Anubis, and JJoNak is done it again. This time I didn't cast a curse in. Unfortunately for Free Feel, I couldn't say the same. JJoNak picks him off from a distance. Pine now has the freedom. That Hulk didn't pull Pine off the edge, so he's not even forced to use his grapple here.
Had to be a crazy shot there from JJoNak, because Free Feel is up on that ledge. You see that Pine is looking at?
Give me more!
As the defense is walking towards point A, so he just gets sniped there by the enemy Zenyatta. Everybody else here falls for the Shanghai Dragons, and relatively uncontested. It'll be NYXL who will unlock point B. Over 7 minutes on the clock.
Of a difference does it make when you have a Zenyatta that can consistently give you first picks in these fights? It's not even his job description, but JJoNak just writes his own.
Well, it just sets off like a crazy chain of events, right? He picks off one, then your Mercy has to decide whether we go for the res or not. If they go for the res, everybody else from NYXL is just jumping on that body, right? Just going, as fast as they can towards that character. And it'll be Meko who gets a first blood here on Undead. I feel like every fight has started off with NYXL drawing the first blood.
Undead playing quite deep in that occasion there as well, so he was a little bit out of his depth, and now Dia's going to fall, so that's a two-man deficit for the Shanghai Dragons. Libero looking for a Dragon Blade. He's got two supports right in front of him. How could you deny such a tasty morsel? And he'll have one. He'll have a bit of help on the second with Mano assisting, and then Undead gets Jonak, but no presence on the point yet for the Shanghai Dragons here. They've been cut to pieces. MG desperately uses his dash, and look at that. That's so perfect. Mano gets in his way, blocks him off the point. That's so clever from him now, and it's going to make it hard for MG to get back unscathed.
And he's going to let MG get to the point. No supports are coming off of respawn here, as NYXL Arc is getting very close to a Valkyrie. Undead will connect with a Pulse Bomb. See if they decide to use
Great
their support
recovery.
ults. Nope, they will not. Shanghai will hold on. You see the progress that was made by NYXL. It'll go down to 2 ticks, but they have a lot of progress already made. Now both support ults will be online for the Shanghai Dragons. Same for NYXL. They had to use a lot of their other ults in that fight as well.
Oh, this is a Dia classic, by the way, the Mei pick. I've seen him do this 2 years ago, actually, during the time of that first APAC Premier tournament where Mei was just so good. It's kind of considered the answer to the Reaper Beyblade meta, or at least a deterrent from that. So he's going to use that to lock down that zone control as much as he possibly can. Jonak's being jumped on here. Primarate's being used. 2 supports grouped very closely. It's very, very hard not to be tempted by it. I think Roshan realizes that's a bad idea.
Yeah, he knew everybody was coming in for NYXL. Had the Discord on him, was about half HP. Here comes the push from New York. Mono gets onto the point, just trying to open up space here for Pine to make
He's
play.
looking for it. Pulse bomb drop, but it doesn't quite connect. Pine, though, still happy just to try and zone out and stand at the back of the fight. He goes back and joins the rest of his team, but look, that's a Frozen Diva mech here. It's going to be self-destructed just in the doorway here. A chance, of course, for a re-mech for Meko. Back in the fight now, back with that health pool. But Undead's found Mano here, who needs to be rezzed.
It was actually a really nice play from Freefeel as well, who did not actually burn the Transcendence when that Pulse Bomb came down. It's a Tracer v Tracer battle here. Underneath the point still contested.
That's a big 1v1 win.
Few players there for NYXL. They have the man advantage now. Libero with the blade. Just needs to get some HP before he decides to use it. It'll be a self-destruct that comes on through. Blizzard as well here from Dia, so gonna see the Transcendence trying to keep everybody alive on through this.
Now, should be the end of this fight for the most part here. The Transcendence now not going to do too much, but you know, have some music to lament the loss of half of the NYXL's roster. Libero's forced to lash out a little bit as he's being pursued, and that's all he's going to really have. And Undead might look to get a bit more damage. Oh, overconfidence is the downfall of that man, and Libero just waits with the reflect in hand.
But it was both support ults used by the NYXL, and you have Shanghai Dragons Freefeel, who has held on to this Transcendence. So you have that big Transcendence to block the effects of the Dragon Blade when it comes on down. You know, giving a lot of props to Freefeel. We talk about how the Shanghai supports struggle time and time again. He's in that 1v1, right? Pine's right near him. He throws the Pulse Bomb. You know, a lot of Zenyatta's probably would have freaked out in that position. He ends up just stepping on back towards the spot.
Mano's getting put on ice there. Quite a lot of those endothermic blaster right clicks are connecting with him. There's a lot of damage available from Mei if she's good enough to hit him. And with Arc going down early, the Shanghai Dragons have succeeded in staving off the NYXL for the time being. 3 minutes and 20 on the clock. Again, a good defensive hold though, especially given that this is the first playthrough of the map for both teams.
Now 5 King will have Valkyrie. Makes it very difficult with Mei, right? Because you never know when she's going to put down the wall, split you off from the rest of the team. You see how much damage she's able to put down with her ice spikes as well. Mono gets really weak, has to back out. Allows Dia to go from like 79% on his ult to having a Blizzard already.
Dia's as much of a Mei OG as Seagull is, if I'm honest with you. Mane drops in and they force the ice block now. Transcendence, you can see over in at the top, and that's Freefeel using it. Arc with the Valkyrie though coming out now. Dragon Blade here. The tough part is for 5 King is that he's dead. He had the Valkyrie, but now no chance to use it until he gets back, and it might be too late by then. Libero getting chased forward here. You can see they're getting a lot of harassment on towards this Genji, but here's the healing, and it's going to be enough for the NYXL to keep pressuring forward. Libero just getting one after another, and that's 5 King, a quick double res just before he goes down, and that's all he could do. Numbers are favoring New York right now. Libero with the lazy flick of the Shuriken to get the head on Undead. And now they can set up on the point with a distinct man advantage. All of Shanghai being forced out of position. 5 King now over towards Lucio to try and stall things out. It's tough to dodge lightning though. And Dia now is going to be bouncing back over the point. Undead to rejoin here. 3 players for the Shanghai Dragons up, and it's going to be a strike out. I think they're done here. They're running out of steam.
It's basically a 5-minute hold though from Shanghai. NYXL, they take point B. 2 minutes and 2 seconds left in their time bank. But if you remember, NYXL just basically got point A as fast as you possibly could get it.
Sure.
Over 7 minutes.
First push
to take point B. They're able to hold on for an extended period of time. I always feel like the issue on point B for Anubis, right, is like you have the support ults, and we see a lot of teams, like, they end up with so many players dead that, like, the support ults never actually become meaningful, right? Because, like, you have to use the Valkyrie to bring 2 players back to life. You know, those 2 players just get focused down instantly, and then what? You have, like, you know, maybe 1 player coming off respawn, so you have, like, you know, both of your supports there with maybe, like, a DPS or something like that, and you're using a Transcendence. Like, those players are... Most likely the other team has a Transcendence or a Valkyrie as well, so you're never in, like, a winning situation there.
And again, if you're looking at who's alive and who's dead, it doesn't really tell you a whole lot sometimes in these fights for defenders because their players are sort of streaming out of spawn one by one, and it's so hard for them to actually... You know, people say, like, the defenders spawn really close, and that's true. They do have an advantage in that regard, but once the attackers actually get control, there's never 6 defenders that can actually challenge. You never get really like an even fight there. The best you can hope for is to try and get like a 1-for-1 trade as a defender streaming back in. If that doesn't happen, you're just going to get overwhelmed, farmed, and give a lot of ultimate percentage over to the attacking team anyway.
Yeah, and like the worst scenario would be like if your tanks die a little bit further away than the point and you have Valkyrie, because what do? You go res the tanks and then you come on back, or do you stay res the DPS in the point? No, it's just these low HP targets are just going to get farmed as soon as they get back up. I think it's really interesting here on Anubis, how teams play around the support ults on the defensive side of things. NYXL will be on defense here. Obviously, we just saw them attack. Mono will be playing Orisa. They'll have Meko play Roadhog. They'll have Libero play Junkrat. So you see that. A 3-person combo. Pine will be playing the Widowmaker all the way in the back on the high ground. He's actually hidden right now. And then he's just going to poke out around the corner as soon as he gets the call from teammates that the push is coming in.
Dia brings some of that chill in here, my friend. I'm melting. 6 players frozen on that defense there, which is very frustrating to deal with. Dia's down early, by the way, so Roshan probably shouldn't even back out at this stage. Still wants to go for it, though. He knows Undead, who just pops up out of nowhere, and Pine, clearly not experienced in Whack-A-Mole as he is in Overwatch, and couldn't deal with that response. However, the tanks are still holding strong here for the NYXL, and Undead is being disrupted.
It doesn't even look like they're going to use the Resurrection here on a Pine. Chonak, who's just able to be a Widowmaker on the Zenyatta. They're going to use a Riptire here.
Oh, he's still in his back.
Yeah, he barely stays alive.
Wouldn't that be annoying? So I just want to play Overwatch. You know, you get to the main gate, you get demeched automatically.
And Dia gets to the point, but Meko just goes back on Roadhog, and what do you do at that point? Roadhog just, you know, take the breather. He's got some heals as well. Free field will fall. So it's interesting here, Mitch. You know, Dia and Roshan are behind the enemies right now. They're up in that top right-hand side, delaying by the make a health pack. They have no healing with them, 1, and then also, you know, their supports have to just kind of walk through the main gate against the Orisa Roadhog combination.
And they just staggered themselves.
So, yeah, so at that point, you would have liked to see them just either get back to the team or like try and make an offensive push at the beginning with like MG coming up the front, maybe them coming from the side.
Sometimes you just get stuck, right? Sometimes you overextend the rest of your team. What happened there? We saw Free Feel and MG get pressured from the main setup of the NYXL after Roshan and Dia had already used their mobility abilities to get to there. So it's unfortunate. They got out of sync, man. It does happen. But Meka now trying to sink a bit more damage straight into this Winston. Roshan takes it. He's resurrected pretty quickly, and Meka didn't have a chance to take a breather. It was actually on cooldown. Libero now has to come in with a concussive mind. Meko's being brought back, and Libero needs a little bit of help. He's benefiting from some healing for the time being, but he's being pressured. Pulse Bomb, though, doesn't quite connect there. Failure to deliver for Dia, and Amazon's going to hear about that one, mate. Oh, Kobe! Libero drops in the concussive mind, and MG just gets splattered.
The use of Transcendence here. Shanghai is going to get on the point. You're going to see the Transcendence come in for NYXL. Supercharger here too. Give them that extra damage as Mono and the supports have just kind of hold up here in the corner. They have Meko with them as well, just trying to get back out to the point. Yeah, you can't give up the ticks here though. NYXL is really playing for this next fight when they get Pine coming off the spawn, who's now up top. They're going to get Libero here with a Riptire as well.
That's going to hurt there as well. You can see, yeah, the Meko damage is going to be there, but Undead's now getting picks from a distance. There's a Riptire over the top, and Undead found that one as well. This guy's a sharpshooter, no doubt about it. Finding Pine to finish things off. And Undead gets it done in style. 5 minutes, 20 on the clock for Shanghai to push that second point.
And with the way that tire was going, Roshan was pretty weak on Winston. 5 Kings right there with him. You may have actually gotten both of those if that Riptire connects, but it's a nice shot by Undead. Takes out the Riptire. Now it'll be Shanghai with 5 minutes to take point B. Just gonna survey the land. 5 King very close to Valkyrie. No support ults online for NYXL. Pine and Libero both switch, so gonna reset their ultimates as well.
They're now sitting back in prime position. Actually doesn't head up to the standard high ground, but off towards the side. He's looking for supports in the back. Shanghai actually almost have a tick. They completely forced the NYXL out of position. And Undead has got so much space and room with it. He can build IKEA furniture right now. He's got that much room, but he's not connecting the shots. That's kind of the issue. Dia taken down. Roshan gets the D-Mech on towards Mecha, and you can see it all from this bird's eye view, but Undead was not able to participate properly in that fight.
That was a really nice play from Shanghai. They jumped in, they forced them into that back left door, and that gives a great angle for Undead to just nail these shots. The main issue is he's just not hitting the shots. And if he's able to land a few of those shots, maybe Shanghai is able to take point B.
Chase shots one more time.
Shots.
Thank you. MG there gets made into a bit of a pancake. Probably not the kind you'd get at your local brunch bar, but still. Shanghai now still in the lead time-wise. So if they manage to get this... Look, I mean, they're looking good. They've got lots of time to work with. Going to work into some more of their support ultimates. Freefill will have his ready, but it's about using Undead, or it's about setting Undead up for success here. He's switched over towards the McCree now, but NYXL have not been forced to use many of these ultimates here, and that's frightening. Shanghai, they've got a junk rush, or two they have to go through to try and draw some of these out.
I do worry about them trying to keep Undead alive. I was going to say, just the dive's going to come in very strong. Mono takes him out as he jumps into the back line. Roshan will use Primal Rage, try and push some of these players off of the point for NYXL. Another change that comes in from Undead. You'll see him play Soldier 76 now. Transcendence will come in for the Shanghai Dragons. It'll be Arc using his Valkyrie in return.
Right now, just trying to work outside of the Transcendence to try and get some value for it with Dia down. Libero now looking for a Dragonblade target. Roshan was just sitting there looking at him, almost begging him to cut him up. It's not a magician's trick this time, though. It's real, and Roshan's back to spawn with the rest of the Shanghai Dragons. Fire King was not going to escape. They pursue Undead even further. And the 76 pick here. Matt, tell me about this. Why didn't he switch off the McCree?
I think because as soon as he played the McCree, just the dive was just so strong from NYXL that we kind of... Well, now he's going to go back to... Okay, now he's going to go to Reaper. Okay,
the crazy mind of Undead,
I was going to say, you bring in 76. I know, obviously, doesn't have as much as, burst damage as McCree, right? Just kind of, progressively
Are you good with this, though?
damage. Yeah, I like the Reaper pick. If they're going to get aggressive, really try and make him pay for it. But you just tried to play 76 there to give yourself a little bit of mobility to get away. Mono is able to take out Five King, now using Primal Rage. Not the position the Dragons want to be in here, as everybody's just dropping.
Yeah, that's so rough. And you know what the scary part is? He baited them into that. Mano says, okay, I hope that the Shanghai Dragons try and peel for Freefill right now while I'm belting him inside this room, because I'm going to get so much damage. He actually managed to desuit MG without trying to, by the way, just because the fists were flying and hitting whatever was around his periphery. So that's a lot of value for Mano off just that ultimate. And that's the kind of thing that's going to keep NYXL ahead in terms of ultimate economy going forward.
I mean, the tanks for NYXL right now, in terms of elims to deaths, it's 77 elims to 9 deaths right now. And they have, over 30 final blows combined. It's just a crazy game here from the tanks yet again of NYXL.
All the Dragons might be asking for it.
The Dragons trying to push through this left-hand side. You get Reaper in a good position, right? Scored to the point. Yeah.
Well, let's see if that's going to be the case, though. I think Libero kind of knows that there's a bit of an edgelord waiting, but didn't stop him from taking a fair bit of damage early. But Five King's out of the picture now, but Shanghai still have to persist. They've got to pressure this anyway. They're going to go on with the Transcendence and try and make something of it. But Undead's down. As soon as Freefill's finished entering the Iris, he's also been removed. And Libero is there to clean up once more. It's not working right now for the Shanghai Dragons. It's just not working at all. They do at least have a Valk.
Well, when Five King drops at the beginning of these fights, it allows NYXL to hold on to their support ults, because you're not worried about players coming back to life here for Shanghai. You're going to have the advantage, pretty much throughout the eternity of that fight. Now we get to see Shanghai attack yet again. They do have their Valkyrie. Just saw them use Transcendence. It'll be a pulse.
Oh, that's it!
Both, yeah. Well, we won't see Shanghai attack here. They'll actually have to run on back to their spawn if they can even make it. It'll be the push that comes in from New York. Forces them back a little bit. As now, we go from, 55 seconds? Now we're pretty much looking at a final attempt here for Shanghai.
Oh, I've got the shivers after that one. That's a nice job from Pine there as well. Obviously. Good pulse bomb, I like it. Both supports down. Now it's time for Shanghai.
Great analysis, man.
Yeah, thanks, bro. That's why I leave that stuff to you, to be honest.
That was really good from Pine, getting both supports.
Yeah, great job as well, implying there was something else that was good. Anyway, Jonak finds Freefill early on in the fight. Libero now has a Dragonblade and Undead. He's got his back turned. Like, to never turn your back on the Ocean or Libero is something that these players are learning slowly, but now the Transcendence is going to be in this fight. Now the Dragon Blade, an option for him if he needs it. There's a Shanghai Dragons player up on the point and a self-destruct. MG just gets splattered in midair. Libero hits him at a rate of knots. Mark 3 for this man. And now he's going to leave his own mark on the final player left. It's Undead. He gets knocked away. We don't have time for your breakdancing around here, son. Get out of the club. And that'll be it. NYXL hold that second point.
When we talk about Jonak opening up these fights and what he can do, he picks off Free Feel, forces the res out of 5King, who uses his Valkyrie, then picks 5King out of the sky. The guy is just unreal on Zenyatta. You know, he's able to just pick up those kills to open up these fights. And you know, once NY pushed in, they get that first pick. The second one comes right after on that Valkyrie Mercy. That's pretty much it for Shanghai.
And Mono just the bouncer in the end, evicting Undead from the point in his final attempt. Undead, though, we've seen a multitude of heroes from him, all looking very, very good. Shanghai Dragons are getting closer and closer. Trust me. Next match is going to be interesting. Want a bit of control. Let's get those teeth and claws out. Time for some aggression.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. We are back live in Los Angeles. Welcome back to the Blizzard Arena, everybody. Currently, you see the numbers there. It's the New York XL up 2-0 over the Shanghai Dragons. And to open up the conversation, we need to welcome back the desk. We got Crumbs in reinforcing. Crumbs, I want to start with you. Coming into this matchup, we knew the New York XL were in the top 3, Shanghai at the bottom of the leaderboard. So coming into this match, what were you looking for in the first half?
So in this matchup, I was looking at a comparison between New York Excel's performance against Shanghai contrasted to Seoul's performance against Shanghai, where they dropped the game. And while Seoul didn't play their starting lineup, New York isn't doing the same thing as well. But what I want to see is how well does New York close out the game here against the Shanghai Dragons, because I feel like if they're able to put up a solid performance here, that to me is the indication that says this is indeed the #1 team in the league.
New York did beat them in the heads up
Exactly.
against Seoul, right? So they have the edge there. Now we're looking to see if they can get a clean 4-0 in this series. Johnny, let's go into some of the gameplay. And it all started back on Eichenwald for game number 1. Pretty solid start there for the New York Excel, but the Shanghai Dragons, not a terrible initial point.
Yeah, I mean,
they
they fought
slowed down
back.
as the map went on.
Yeah, they fought back, and they had a few picks up their sleeve. I mean, we saw Dia on the Pharah. I think it's pretty uncommon to see the Pharah, especially on defense, of course, here on Eichenwald. But they made it work somewhat. I think that Dia's flexibility really showed thus far this series. We saw him on Pharah and then the Mei on Anubis, of course. So I think overall in this series, Shanghai Dragons at least put up a fight, and I think that's what you have to look to do, at least when you're such an underdog versus probably the best team in the league.
New York was fielding Pine in this matchup. What did you think of his Tracer play? Normally we see him just in control playing McCree.
Well, I think when we were discussing that the idea of actually having Pine as Tracer is almost like a disrespect play from the New York Excelsior. However, I do think that just having him on there is just a test to see, hey, Pine, what do you got? You know, you didn't play against Seoul Dynasty. We'll throw you a bone, see if your Tracer can live up to, say, Biobi, and then maybe we'll incorporate you more into the starting lineup.
Yeah, well, even stage experience, right? A lot of these players haven't played on stage before, so we've seen other teams field a couple of players just to get the nerves away. And maybe it's similar for Pine. Pine hasn't had that much stage experience. He popped off on the McCree on control, but when it comes to the other modes, maybe he still needs some time on the stage to get used to it when he's really needed.
Pine was putting up pretty solid numbers, and on the flip side, we had the Shanghai Dragons, who had a star performer on their second point push. It was Undead, and unfortunately, they weren't able to complete that second point, but here's a look at a few of the big plays he had, and this is just showcasing the accuracy that we're getting from Dia and Undead. Constantly picking Libero out of the sky, using his ultimates pretty strong throughout the game. Undead definitely has that potential. The question is, can you keep your supports alive and can you protect this man as the game goes on?
That was what's missing, right? We didn't see a lot of heals coming through to Undead. I think that Shanghai Dragons in general, they focus a lot of heals onto the front line because Roshan, he dives so deep, so you want to make sure Roshan stays alive and gives Undead all of this space. But at the same time, Undead isn't getting a lot of this healing, and often he dives to Tracers or other heroes because he's getting poked down pretty slow, and the supports, I mean, Free Feel isn't there to heal him necessarily.
We have to remember when Shanghai came in, this was a team that didn't have a Zenyatta player, right? We were thinking, where is Zenyatta? They only have Lucio mains here so far, so the meta wasn't doing them any justice, and when you put Free Feel, then he looks that much worse when you compare him with JJoNak, who basically, or not basically, literally did about 60% more damage than he did, more than doubled his damage in both maps. It was just not even close, so then obviously your DPS and tanks are going to be way better off than the ones that are dealing with a novice Zenyatta.
JJoNak steals golds from everybody, all right? That's not a fair comparison. Let's talk about game number 2, though, as we went into Temple of Anubis. Once again, point A a little bit slower than point B, and we saw New York. They finished with 2 minutes and 12 seconds left in the time bank, but that was after the Shanghai Dragons stalled them out on B. When they were able to stall out New York, what were the Dragons doing well?
Well, they had this niche pick in Mei coming up from Dia, of course, so that's pretty hard to deal with, especially when you're playing dive, because if you cut off like the Diva with Defense Matrix, the Winston, I mean, that's a lot of pressure off your shoulders. So I think this was a nice control pick in many regards. It slows down the fight. It means that Shanghai Dragons can have a lot more structure to the fights and not rely on so much on individual skill, which New York Excelsior has in abundance.
But I think that shows a really great stride from the Shanghai Dragons. A team that is already trying to incorporate itself into the league as a team that can take some games is now feeling confident enough to actually play a pick like the Mei and come out with innovative strategies that other teams are doing and seeing great success with. Well, they're trying it too, and to hold New York to 1.5 or 2 minutes rather on that point is actually pretty impressive. So I think that they can be happy with what they showed in Anubis point B.
Johnny, we've seen a lot of pressure on those healers, as you saw in the highlights. Pine just walking up, sticking both of them, walking away. How are the tanks playing so far for the Shanghai Dragons? How do they compare against the New York Excel in the first half?
Well, like I said, a lot of healing goes onto the tanks of Shanghai, and it's because they are diving so deep. So That means that these Tracers and Genjis, they have so much room to deal with the backline of Shanghai Dragons because there's no defense matrix appeal. We look at someone like Fury from London Spitfire. He's always there to back out his supports, of course, with the defense matrix. We don't really see it from the Shanghai Dragons, and so it gives so much opportunity for New York Excelsior in this case to actually hit those support line in the Shanghai Dragons and eventually win the fights.
All right, two maps are done. We still have the other half of this match. Is this going to be a 4-0 for New York?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm hoping we see Shanghai show up in map number 3. Is Pine back in the action? That's the real question we have on the table. Will he once again go off on his McCree, the map's Oasis? And we'll be right back on the other side of this break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Sour Patch Kids. Sour, sweet, gone.
A league that offers opportunity for talented competitors to test and push our assumptions about how the game is meant to be played.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming at you live from Los Angeles, California. Welcome to the Blizzard Arena.
From one week to another, the Shanghai Dragons have been pitted up against tougher and tougher opponents. This might be as tough as it gets here in Season 1 of the Overwatch League. And to be fair, Matt, I'm fairly bullish on the Shanghai Dragons. We've seen some good looks from them so far in this match.
We have, and I think if they looked like this earlier in this season, they would not be the team all the way at the bottom of the leaderboards. I have to imagine they would have found a win somewhere up until this point. But No, they did start off poorly. They deserve those losses. We'll see if they can turn it around as the stage goes on. This match, though, very difficult for them. No subs on either side. So Shanghai, don't see Shusha today, don't see Altering. For NYXL, we have not seen Janus or Saviel B yet.
Perhaps it may remain the case throughout the rest of the series here, and this is the kind of map that maybe, you know, Pine will be brought in on, but also, ironically, the map that he was rested on against the Seoul Dynasty. Now let's talk about this a little bit, Matt. Where are our big discrepancies occurring statistically, or across roles? The tanks.
We talked a little bit about it, during our last match, but NYXL's tanks, they finish a combined 85 and 11, in terms of eliminations to deaths. And then on the side of the Shanghai Dragons, you had Roshan go 19 and 13, MG 17 and 11. You just see
36 and
yeah, just the plus minus there is just not pretty.
Okay.
It's in the favor of NYXL. I think that's where you've seen the biggest difference so far in this series.
So much more involvement from the NYXL tanks in these kills.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot more elimination spread over the team. That means that we're seeing a lot more people just getting in these fights. So perhaps it's Peel, perhaps it's otherwise. Regardless, the contribution to the performance of their team has been far better from the NYXL tanks thus far. And there it is. He deals the most damage on Winston. This is Mano, and dies the least in the league on Oasis. This is his home ground.
A lot of main tank players, right? You look at them as like just Winston players or Reinhardt players. We've seen Mano play Winston, Orisa, and Rein at a very high level. That is why he is one of the best main tanks in the league.
That's why he represented South Korea at the Overwatch World Cup last year over Miro. But now he's going to be playing the Orisa here, so not so much the Winston, but still, something you revere and respect, no doubt about it. Both teams have got Roadhogs busting shields up, but Meko gets pulled over the line. Roshan, though, is taken down, so tanks are trading here, but Roshan is the one brought back up, and Pine is being very conservative about his positioning early in the round.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to bring Meko back into the action. They get a nice hook there on a JJoNak.
Oh, that's nasty. Almost triple tapped in there. Just needed a headshot in the mix, did Pine. It would have had Undead dead to rights.
It's the Shanghai Dragons, though, who control the point. This is really just a battle of who can break these
the war of
shields
attrition,
down.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So they're just going to throw each other at it. They're going to throw themselves at each other. That's what I'm looking for. The healing is going to be a really crucial factor. Libero goes high with a concussive mine, doesn't connect. But Pine's found Roshan, so the Orisa was missing. But now she's brought back by 5King Mercy Meta. Haha, but now Libero in a position to use that Riptire. With MG out of the picture now, there's not a Resurrect available for the Dragon, so this will be doubly devastating if it really does connect. But it does not. Undead picks it out as it climbs the wall.
Oh, and actually, Meko gets pulled into the hole there, so they're not going to have the damage that comes with their Roadhog. It'll be Undead who takes out Pine as NYXL trying to battle onto the point here, but Shanghai do a great job staying in control. It'll be Valkyrie used by both sides.
All right.
So you're going to bring some players back into the action. It'll be JJoNak here using the Transcendence as well.
He opts out of receiving healing from his own team's Transcendence. He wants to jump into the well instead, now being out of position. I think he's hoping to pull someone down there and force him into the 1v1 arena with a big boss hog, but Undead finds Pine from the side. That's the headshot that Pine was looking for earlier on. Dropping down that well as a hero without mobility or a jump kind of feels like going back to spawn sometimes. It's nasty, but Undead is actually making Meko go back to spawn, and JJonak's not far behind. This guy's hitting his shots.
With Roadhog, it's so difficult to connect with a hook to drag people down into the hole as well. Just the angle proves to be very difficult. And by time Meko, he's a very slow character. Roadhog makes it up that side stairs. Everybody else is dead on the point, so Roshan will have a supercharger here. You'll also have your Transcendence for Shanghai in a very good spot.
MG lands the hook, fortifies not enough to keep Mano alive, and now MG has to try and do something more, but Mano's trying to even the playing field. MG's desperately trying to scuttle away, but Libero's found two very rapid kills on the two very important targets. Undead and Dia are out of the picture. Now MG's just going to chill in that healing aura. It's like a parasol for the sun if you have sensitive skin, but MG definitely isn't the thin-skinned sword. He's going to come back in now with that whole hog. Or at least he thought about it, but he realized that it'd be a waste as the rest of his team had been decimated. Freefield missed the memo though. He definitely doesn't miss the shrapnel embedded in his body.
Yeah, and that time NYXL, instead of just kind of bulldozing through that front, they actually sent Libero over to the right-hand side. He's able to get some damage on an off angle, picks up 2 kills. Now we'll see the pressure that comes in from NYXL. Do they push up a little bit, play on the point, see where Mano's decided to put his Orisa shield. And it's interesting, Shanghai will make the change. They'll have Roshan now play Winston. They're not going to have any barriers for Undead to play behind here. It's going to be very difficult to ask McCree.
Roshan has to use his barrier when he dives in and has to use it at just the right time. If he gets stunned out of it, he'll get double headshot by Pine and eliminated immediately, just like he was there.
But what they did on Anubis NYXL is they just put the Junkrat trap right under Mono playing the Orisa, so as soon as Roshan dives in, if he's not connected with a hook or a halt, he lands right in the trap.
But Roshan gets pulled up again, second time. Again.
I think you got to switch off the McCree now if you're Shanghai.
It's not getting much done. They need some dive potential. Undead gets caught by that one somehow. Libero was really just playing with house money at that stage, just throwing out the Riptire and seeing if he could find anything. And it is buying more time for the New York Excelsior. What's impressive to me is that NYXL took the point for the first time in this round. The first time in this round without having to use too many ultimates at all. So they have a bank still after fighting so hard to get in some control. This could snowball away from the Dragons.
Yeah, just look at the chokes that Libero can just smash down with Junkrat grenades here. It's being very difficult to break through. It'll be the Riptire that comes out.
The Dia Riptire here.
Shanghai. See,
Connection.
They connect with Meko.
Jonak now has that Transcendence, so Valkyrie's already been drawn out. Jonak's going to have to sit back and stay safe. He needs to remain alive in this fight until it's time to use a Transcendence. NYXL are more than happy to use both of their support ultimates here because this may be the last fight. Pine with Deadeye, looking for a chance to use it now, so it's going to be jumped upon. No connections, no kills, no happy little red scales, but Pine's still ready to roll forward and back into the fight. He takes a big hit from probably Undead over on the side. He knows he's there and he's going to go hunting for him. The Transcendence is drawn out of the Shanghai Dragons here onto the point. Pine's quarry seems to have eluded him, deceived him perhaps now. He's going to drop him, but no, the Transcendence is too far away. Pine is in trouble. He's in a 1v1 against MG. He's got more damage and more health, but Pine still gets the D-suit. It's so crucial, and now he's looking for more, but Free Phil has had enough of his shenanigans. 2 for the Shanghai Dragons. Kills in this fight. Libero doesn't get anything with the Riptire, and this might be it. Where NYXL? Jonak's forced to go to the point on his own. He's taken down. Deadeye deals with him pretty comfortably, and there it is. This is why I'm bullish on the Shanghai Dragons map, because when it comes down to a bit of rough and tumble, they know how to finish up on top.
And Roshan had a really nice use of Primal Rage there towards the end. He was just pushing Arc so far away from his teammate. Arc has to go all the way back. They use the Transcendence there, NYXL, to just keep Arc up, and as they move back towards the point. But, Undead able to pick up a few kills on the McCree there. Once they were able to push on through that initial hold that NYXL had, he was able to just kind of weave around, then mid-choke, and then up towards that staircase, put some damage down. See what NYXL does here. This is where we've seen them run Orisa and Roadhog in the past, right? They just set up on that left-hand staircase, the major staircases here on this point. Looks like right now they're going to go with that double off-tank setup. Libero playing 76 with Pine playing the Tracer.
Yeah, interesting, 76 here. Kind of makes me feel like the NYXL evaluate the high ground on this map to an extreme degree. So they're going to get the most value out of the Cyber Soldier. But for the time being, Roshan tries to perch up in the middle of the map, and he will be harassed. Free ultimate percentage, we're giving away.
And where we said, Shanghai in that last point, right? You were a little bit worried about playing 3 without a shield for the Junkrat. No Junkrat on the side of NYXL. There's no shield for Libero. It's just that, 76 obviously can self-heal, and then he has to sprint to be able to get out of those situations where McCree's just kind of stuck.
Undead forces Pine to respect him a little bit there with a headshot. He's going to ward the Tracer away for the time being, but MG's already found Libero, so Undead now going to make the most of the fact that there's only 1 DPS, or make that none. Now Mano's going to get pressured down. There's no defense matrix because Mecca was too far away, but Undead's not done yet. Tap it away with the Peacemaker. He's looking for some support, and he's got Arc as well. The man's on a running riot. Somebody stop him. We need the Lawmaker to deal with the Outlaw, but there just ain't none left in this town.
Undead just popping off on McCree here against NYXL. Pine's like, all right, I see you. I'll bring McCree out myself.
Real recognize real.
So now you got NYXL. They're going to go double hit scan.
Do a jump pad Deadeye.
Yeah, still staying with the same tanks. That would be crazy if Undead hit.
It was first used, in fact, in the finals of the OWPS. So that was the Chinese league. So I want to see it.
So he's just playing in the corner. He's waiting for potentially the Tracer to come around.
To the skies.
See if he sees anything.
Here we go. No one really presented themselves here. He's got one more bounce. This is not a standard setup here at Overwatch. He doesn't find anything. So the NYXL expect all respected either way, or both, regardless. Undead now's in a position to get a flash on Mano. He's down. NYXL are missing a tank again at the start of this fight. He may be brought back, but Pine's already been felled by the barrage here. It's a broadside from the Shanghai Dragons. They're lining him up and knocking him down. When Undead is man, mostly perpetrating this damage. You can see he's keeping a respectful distance away from Meko to get that D-suit on him. Pine is knocked in his direction, but from behind it was Meko, D-suited, but still with a Bloody Blast and left to do some damage, and surely a vendetta on his mind. MG tries to back away, Libero gets 2 with the tactical visor, and Pine falls foul of a self-destruct. Tia doesn't really have the backup right now, and also the hit scan pressure from Libero is going to make his life hard.
Oh, Dead went so big for Shanghai there. You know, he's able to flash Mono before he can actually take a breather. They kill Roadhog, and then when Mono uses his whole hog, gets the flashbang back, knocks him out of that as well. It's just not enough. Towards the end, Arc using the Valkyrie at the perfect time. Yeah, the tank's back in the action. Libero with the tack visor. You only had Roshan on the point with Dia, who was playing Pharah, and now you'll see Dia bust out the 76, so it's kind of rare, Mitch. We haven't really seen this throughout Overwatch League thus far. I know the double hit scans with 76 and McCree in play.
Especially given they're not going up against Pharah here. Neither team is. Oh, Pine now starting to punish Undead a little bit more. His opponent stood still for just long enough for him to sink the bullet between the eyes. Look at MG and Roshan both being committed towards Pine, but he's pulled them out of position, he's baited them, and now the rest of the NYXL tanks can collapse. Libero had so much freedom now because Pine was the only man really demanding attention. And that oversight may have cost Shanghai that fight. It's going to be 47% to 63.
Yeah, they just wanted to actually push Pine out of position, and then what happened there is Meko actually flies in on D.Va and knocks them back in towards Pine. And then they're able to put down enough damage to finish those players off. Roshan now will play Roadhog. You know, you'll have your main tank for Shanghai. He'll take up that off tank, play Roadhog. Kind of like how Mono does here for NYXL. So just the mirror comps coming out from both of these teams. It's a much different look than what we've seen from Shanghai in the past.
Like his own mini-meta, right? Storm in a teacup of Overwatch team compositions. Mono now gets hooked in, wanted to try and use the whole hog, but never got a chance. He gets picked off first in this fight again. And that might be a pause for thought for the New York Excelsior, because Meko's low as well. He needs to go for a self-destruct just to get the mech back. Pine takes cover for now, but he has a Deadeye. Might just pop around the corner and make quite the overture with that. He's going to look for it. Transcendence now, but very quickly the NYXL trying to chase Shanghai, who back away. Libero attack fires, he gets interrupted, but the defense matrix was there from Meko, protecting the Soldier 76. Now he's got a chance to give some of the damage back. Staying back with his support, staying safe. You see Meko's doing his darndest to try and keep his backline separate from the enemy divers, and it's working out. The NYXL in overtime here have brought things back. And Shanghai now can only really just stall things out. I think it's Dia back on the point of Soldier 76. Was Fire King to try and tease things. But no, we're going to go to a third round here to decide Oasis, and the NYXL clearly have woken up.
It's the little plays from NYXL that are just really fun to watch. So Mono dies in a position where you're like, okay, Arc's not going to be able to get the res off. What they do is Meko launches his self-destruct pretty much right on top of where Mono dies. Arc is then safe because he knows they have to clear that area out, goes in, reses Mono, then goes right back to the rest of the team. It's a really nice play to get both tanks right back in the equation.
It's crazy, right? Like, I don't think it's possible to orchestrate something like that on the spot from communication. It's almost like it has to be an instinctive thing. It's like, I'm going to self-destruct there, I'm not going to tell
really
Arc
cool,
why. Arc needs to know why. Maybe he would yell at Arc to go and resurrect, but either way, I love that.
We talk about self-destruct creating space, right? Just opening up that area. You have to run away from the D.Va mech. We haven't really kind of seen it used like that, where it creates space for your own Mercy or some players on your own team to take up that space.
True enough, man. Mono, very hooking. Wants an early kill. Hunting his prey, but Undead actually is felled by a Helix rocket let go by Libero. Now might just be getting worse. Mono gets a switch to the side to drag MG that further little bit of distance. And Shanghai can't start playing Overwatch yet in this round. They're going to have to wait.
Undead will switch off of McCree, will play 76 here, so
he's worried. He needs mobility. He's freaking out the fact that he can't escape any of this stuff.
He's such an easy target for Mono with the hook when he's playing on McCree, especially if you have to, with the way this point's constructed, right? I mean, you just have these two staircases, and then the one kind of alleyway you would never really kind of want to go towards.
You have two entry methods,
right? So I mean, you have both entry methods are not really great spots for McCree to kind of walk in uncontested as well.
Look at this poke damage. Roshan's already done a half. MG didn't have a chance to escape, but he gets desuited. This is the nightmare start for the Shanghai Dragons. Roshan realizes that to a degree he kind of has to try and help and keep the D.Va alive, but he goes down, and Pine is just cleaning up here with Libero from afar.
Well, as soon as MG gets hooked, he wants to block all the damage that Mono comes in, so he turns. Obviously uses defense matrix in front of the Roadhog, but it's Jonak hitting him with a Discord, and then Libero just mowing him down with shots from 76 at a distance. That's putting him out of the mech. So, 45% gotten on the point here for NYXL. They're going to have Whole Hog, you're going to have Now, most likely attack visor here is Libero is going to be able to get some extra damage down from the high ground. And before the next fight starts, Five King needs to get a good use of the Valkyrie here. Big pulse bomb though.
Fine, there avoids the hook, but actually gets caught out, so punished for his overconfidence in coming
res
forward.
though.
Will they though? You see that Winston's just coming around. Roshan trying to double back and deal with the res, but Pine is back in action. And now it's a chance for Libero to ascend to the heights and try for a tactical visor here. He knows that it's a Roadhog and it's a Winston. There's no D.Va here for the Shanghai Dragons, or it's MG, should I say, does have that D.Va. Triple tank for them here, so Libero has to respect that one. Now, bit of a biotic field to give him this 1v1 advantage, but Roshan's also being healed up. Libero's not going to have this healing for long. He realizes it needs to be the Mercy that he deals with. Five King, is he down? Yes, Libero connects with him. Now drops low to the point. Primal Rage Winston still seems to be locked onto Libero, but the man can just run around the point and evade his potential capturer, his pursuer, and it's not going to be enough. 92% here of the NYXL, and Shanghai might well be done.
On so many changes coming in now. You see Five King actually moved off of Mercy, went to Lucio, and then decided to go back to Mercy. Freefield getting close towards a Transcendence. It'll be Pine that opened things up there with a kill on Nadia.
Wick is burning though. It's a D-Suiter D.Va. MG already out in the cold, and there's not much there to greet him except for the New York Excelsior. They were bored in these cold temperatures, Matt. The East States are ready for this, and now Pine got a pressure back in. Manu finds two with the whole hog, and Freefield just gets completely deconstructed, selling them for scrap. And that's going to be it. 3 maps to the New York XL. That means, of course, they have taken the series, but we still have one more map to come. And we've already seen Shanghai go from being 0-3 down to taking the last map. I still expect to see more from them.
And we saw Shanghai really struggle with getting any kind of control of the high ground. Libero was just able to go to work on the 76. Which even opens up all these angles for Pine to be a difference maker playing Tracer today.
Fortune favors the bold, and for the Shanghai, they need to be asking a question of themselves and their opponents. Kind of pressure the NYXL and get themselves a map win. One more to come, just around the corner.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
very often we're going to get to see this kind of matchup. Matt, at least not in stage 1. And again, we come into a match like this and think, okay, ostensibly, top team versus bottom team. It's 5-1 versus 0-6. But I think it's safe to say that the level of play here doesn't really make me feel like a top versus bottom matchup here. We've seen a lot of good things. I said this as we came in last time. With that last map, we saw that round from Shanghai looking very good, and also a good job of pressuring the tanks on NYXL, who were the problem for them prior.
Yeah, they've done a much better job there on Oasis. No subs for both teams here as we go into Dorado, but you are definitely seeing a much improved Shanghai team, you know, each week as we progress through the Overwatch League. It's just a matter of time, I think, before they get a win. And obviously not happening today.
It's something we talk about a lot, right? Because everyone was super critical about them, and we all were at the beginning, and we didn't know where this ship would be sailing, in what direction. Would it be downstream, over the cliff, down the waterfall, and on the rocks, or would it be onward and upward, as it were? It seems to be the latter, and that's a promising sign, especially with the parity we're seeing between so many of teams in the league in general. But Dorado is going to be our final map for the series here. Pure payload goodness.
We'll see how Shanghai decides to play this. You know, multiple options, right? You know, we see Junkrat here. You know, a lot on Dorado on the defensive side. We do see, you know, even from teams like the Gladiators, right? You know, they run Doomfist on the defense, Doomfist Widow. Could see Pine play Widowmaker here, although he's played a lot of Tracer in this series thus far, a little bit more than I expected.
I mean, again, we don't necessarily know if there's a specific reason, be it health or otherwise, why Sebiobi's not playing for the NYXL, but yeah, obviously they're going to need Pine to play that Tracer, and he's done such a good job in that role. Granted, you know, he's going up against a good Tracer, a very good Tracer in Dia, so it's not like, oh, it's easy for him because the opposition Tracer's not... No, Dia is an excellent Tracer, and we've seen Undead be able to produce the same kind of performances here, so it's not like easy mode, it's not like they're easing him into it. He's straight up against a very, very powerful Tracer opponent when it is that TBT match.
It'll be Shanghai Dragons on defense. It's like Undead will be playing Widowmaker, who I feel like his performance has really kind of started to take an upswing after the last 2 weeks. He really had a good map there on Oasis. We're just waiting for him to pop off, and he finally does. Dia will be playing Junkrat here, and I know the tank's just pretty consistent. You know, Roshan will be playing Winston, MG will be playing Diva. What does NYXL decide to do? It looks like they're going to go straight dive with Libero playing Genji and Pine playing the Tracer.
Pine's really making a case for himself as a starter player on this roster. It's hard to, you know, want to put anyone above Sabiobi at all in the world, but Pine is doing an excellent job and getting a good account of himself. Already, heads are clashing as the New York tanks just detected high ground. They knew what they'd be running into, of course. Recommon is set up in that position.
I think it's a great luxury for NYXL that, you know, you're able to just swap these DPS players in and out. You know, Pine and Sabio being very strong on hit scan heroes, and then Libero can play pretty much just anything.
Something that a lot of teams lack. You know, you've got Pine, both Pine and Libero, by the way, have like a huge hero pools. Pine can play Genji as well, I've seen him do it, so that's flexibility, and it's real flexibility, not just like I can play a bunch of stuff and I'm okay. They're actually good. And Dia, there was no way he was getting out of that one, trying to tiptoe backwards, but the relentless assault of the NYXL players had been pinned in place and dealt with summarily.
And Roshan dives in a position where he's not going to be able to get rest, so Pine and Mono just keep diving in a little bit, forcing the members of Shanghai back, and there's Shanghai may just go so far back that they're gonna have to give this up. MG goes in alone, he has the self-destruct, so doesn't mind dropping on the point. We have Pulse Bomb lands to defeat the Five King. That is such a crucial kill.
Five King couldn't Guardian Angel away, or couldn't walk away from the bomb explosion, and that's definitely gonna be gutting for the Shanghai Dragons. Pine now just seeing Undead crouch in the corner on top of the health pack. It's not a Sombra situation, that was a very dead Widow from the outset. And now they can just clean up here. First attack, looking very good for the NYXL.
And not even really worried about Undead on the Widowmaker, right? They're really just putting a ton of pressure on Dia, who is playing Junkrat. Get that Junkrat spam out of the equation first.
Undead didn't have much room there as well. You see, like, the NYXL had already forced the Shanghai Dragons out of the courtyard area, and they had to sort of filter back in. And that's kind of the worst place for Widow to be. You saw Undead was sitting on the street trying to shoot around that very tight corner, and he was already out of optimal sightline.
Well, Shanghai pretty much goes into the worst spot in terms of giving him position to make a play. Here's going to be a big play, though. Libero comes up top with the Dragon Blade. They use Transcendence. The player's down on the point alive.
Well, he's waiting for the trans to finish, but unfortunately it's persisted a little bit too long for Libero to get the damage done. And now he gets chased. Dia, a couple of shots now as he catches his heel. He tries to get over the fence. MG for the D-suit, though, and Pine needs to respect. He has no recall and 27 HP. He needs to hope no one looks at him. That was the case. He finally receives that Orb of Harmony, and now Dia needs to respect. No time! He's almost like he queued up the melee before he dashed, in the same way that a lot of players queue up a pulse bomb before they dash. It was so fast. That's impressive.
It's a definitely a
Crowd
popular
out loving
move.
it, though,
It's a popular move amongst Tracer players.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay. For a second there, I thought we were going to see Five King just get blown up using his Guardian Angel. He's got to be so careful. So he's going to try and come out toward that time. They jump right on top of Undead.
Give it a rest. He's got us out here making potty noises, man. This guy is doing it all. Half HP left on Roshan. Oh, man. Now in a position just to go in over the top there. There's no angle that he can't come from by the looks of things. You can see Dia's trying to challenge him, steal the health pack away. Quite the epic 1v1, but Dia opts out. There's bigger fish to fry, or at least other threats that need to be dealt with, and that's Undead. Nice headshot there to clean up play.
We'll see the Valkyrie come out from Arc. He's going to get all the way into the backline. He will res Pine. See JJoNak here just landing these discords. Few players weak. Mono will use Primal Rage. May have been hit with a pulse bomb there and had to just go up into the sky.
Definitely clean up phase there. JJoNak does as only JJoNak can. Gets that clean up in midair, and the resurrect on Roshan here is just to buy time. There's a lot of it's not a value in resurrecting a big Winston here. A lot of HP that have been back into the fight, and JJonak's been struggling to deal with him despite the Discord orb. There he goes, just throwing out orbs, fighting headshots. And that is going to be the NYXL now onto the last phase of Dorado.
You don't even see the rest of the members worried from NYXL. You know that JJonak's back there fighting because he has Arc just pocketing him, right? He's got the Discord on Roshan. He's like, okay, I just got to land a few shots. Roshan has to get away. As soon as he starts getting away, everybody turns around from NYXL, put a little bit of damage into him, finish him off.
That's going to change. Obviously, now on live, it's much harder. Like, you see less of the Mercy, so you see less of those pocketed Zenyatas that can deal with more of that damage. It's a bit more risky to be a Zen, but also more popular now with changes to supports. But there it is, Fight King down to a pulse bomb. Speaking of supports, Mercy gets completely splattered in the backline there, and NYXL just continue to find the answer. They have the key to every little engagement, and with the Mercy removed right at the start, there was no point in Shanghai committing any ultimates anyway.
Shanghai does have their Transcendence here. See if Pine can maybe force it out, then NYXL can back up a little bit, or use their own Transcendence. Just keep Libero up, that big Dragon Blade. And Arc already with Valkyrie, 5K. You know, he's been picked off early in these fights. Hasn't had a great chance to build up towards his.
Dia struggling. Pine has been relentless, so much damage. He's really not giving an inch here. Chomping at the bit now to find a killing blow, and it might be just around the corner. Libero with a Dragon Blade to hold another Transcendence down, so at least he has a moment. But he wants Fight King. He wants to stop that Resurrect. He's got him though. Dragon Blade finds his mark. The Angel is down. The bells are not tolling because Freefell also gets his gone run like one. Libero drops back in now. The Dragon Blade was definitely doing the job. He found Dia. A slash on towards Undead, so that's a lot of value for that damage. And now it is the clean up. The Shanghai Dragons seem to have bowed out of this defense for the most part. They haven't got much done at all. And now it should be the finish. That's going to be its convincing push for the New York XL.
They complete the map with 2 minutes and 42 seconds in the time bank. The Libero got a ton of value out of his Dragon Blades. 4 Dragon Blade kills. In that first half, you saw towards the end, Pine come around that backside. He put enough damage on free field to force out that Transcendence. As soon as Transcendence decided to wear off, what did NYXL use? They used their own Transcendence plus the Dragon Blade. JJoNak just following Libero around as he kind of cuts through the members of Shanghai.
I was talking to Troutman, or Captain Planet, our stats wizard. He was saying, I think it was him, was saying that it's far more impactful when we see Transcendence paired up with Dragon Blade than any other combination of ultimates in the game right now. So that is definitely how you win out a fight. And if that's not you, Ben, I'm sorry for incriminating you in something that may or may not be correct, but hey, that's life. I've got the mic, you got the stats.
It sounds correct.
Give me numbers, Ben, that's all I want.
As long as it sounds correct, that's what matters. It'll be NYXL on defense. It looks like here at the beginning, you'll at least see Libero play Junkrat, and then you'll have Pine play Widowmaker. So they're going to have Orisa as well. So you can have Mono on Orisa, play really close to that choke, give a good shield for Libero to put down a ton of damage, make it really hard for Shanghai to decide. Remember, Shanghai was the team that got stopped by the Gladiators here when the Gladiators ran Doomfist Widow.
that was spicy. And in all fairness, the Gladiators got full held the last time NYXL played this map. So there you go. Segue. 2K18.
And what they did, Shanghai, the last time is they ran their own Widowmaker, and when that didn't work, they actually switched off of Widow and went with McCree, which proves to be even harder than just playing the Widow into it, because then you have actually no chance of getting Pine in the back. So
it's not, I mean, you're not even trying to do it to deal with the Widow, you're trying to deal with the Doomfist, I guess.
Let's see how Shanghai plays this if they do get stopped. If they make the same mistakes as before, or if they've learned from these now just adjusted better as a team.
So yeah, let's look and see how they recover from setbacks. It's the most important part now. MG. Oh, hello. There's a Junkrat nearby, he says. Now goes hunting. Ooh. Undead cops a bit of a slap there from Pine across the way, and Roshan was actually found, so Pine's just churning out shots there.
And Roshan is just on the payload. He's just trying to make his way around.
Move it forward. Mecco's like, nope.
You just put Mecco behind the car. He's going to stay contested. Not going to be able
MG's
to
asking
make
his
progress.
team, where are you at, boys?
Well, here's the thing. It's like if they go out to just try and get Mecco off of the payload, they're just going to get pummeled by Pine from the distance. So
annoying.
And then Mecco can just fly away to safety up top. He can get a Harmony Orb.
And like if they focus Mecco, then they're not dealing with anything on that high ground. Like Mecco's done trolling now. He backs away. That's definitely going to wasting a bit of time. They're frustrating for the Shanghai Dragons, but it's also hard to come up with the right response to that. Oh, Undead.
Nice angle.
Nice. It's a nice angle, isn't it? Nice angle. Fortunately, Libro's going to cut him down. He gets a little bit too close to the corridors that are very conducive to splash damage from those Junkrat mines.
Be Pine with his info sight here. So NYXL going to know where everybody is on the map for the Shanghai Dragons. The reason that Mecco actually got off of the cart there is because Roshan actually went underneath on a flank, and then they had MG fly up. So he had to go back and he had to go back and peel for the remaining members.
These guys are thinking, bro. The cogs are turning in their heads. There's no doubt about it. Freefill drops early in the fight and is given a second bite at the apple, so to speak. Oh, he's back, but for how much longer is the question? Because Undead just got cut down by Jonak, of course, who's basically a Widowmaker that can heal in his own right.
So I wouldn't really hate if they went off the Widow here, because what the Gladiators did to Shanghai is they played the Widow so far back. Pine is actually playing extremely aggressive.
You really think Pine's going to play passively ever?
No, he's never. So look, okay, I like this change out of Shanghai.
Oh, you're soft.
As soon as I say they make this change because Pine's playing aggressive, what happens? He goes all the way back now. So
but why? Why does he change this?
Oh, because he knows that there's going to be the dive that's going to come in for the Shanghai Dragons. They have Genji, they have Tracer. It's really mostly this Genji-Winston combination that can give him a lot of trouble.
Just like clockwork. Actually, not like clockwork. It was Genji, not a Tracer, but still. Pine did get attempted to be jumped on, I suppose, but Undead's there on the ground. So Pine being forced to drop down, then puts him in the crosshairs of Undead, but it just doesn't matter. Undead's cut down by Mecco. Libro's there just slapping mines on people's faces and detonating them just for fun. And that's it. Another fight done. Oh, Libro. No respect. He actually gets MG with the total mayhem, by the way, because MG didn't want to be around. He allowed himself to get blown up.
And Five King uses his Valkyrie, but the members of Shanghai that die at the beginning die so far away that he can't even go in all the way to bring them back to life. So at that point, you're still fighting at a disadvantage because you're just bringing the players on the payload right back to life. You're not able to get your Genji or your Winston, who are just all the way deep into the opponent backline in the action. So they'll have a Riptire here for Libero. Only a minute to go. Shanghai needs to make some progress.
Mecco's just chunking Roshan down there as well. I mean, those autocannons are so deadly at close range, man. That Tracer trying to do something in the backline here. Seems like fancy. Fancy's a bit of a fight there. Riptide doesn't connect there. It does at least provoke the Transcendence though. But Undead blows himself up with a Pulse Bomb, if I'm not mistaken. Not what you want to see for the Shanghai Dragons at such a critical juncture. And with Roshan going down, Mecca now's more than happy to get a bit aggressive. Turn it up a notch, perhaps, he says. The Orisa Shield's still there. Freefill's trying to get through it. He gets domed. And Fire King just gets thrown in the bin. Back to the spawn. One more chance remains for the Shanghai Dragons to make some progress here.
And Shanghai couldn't use the Genji or the Tracer to dive in on Jonak because he has Libero right there with him inside of the little house, and you see they're putting a ton of pressure on Dia here. Arc is going to be able to help heal Mecco as he gets right back up. They do have Transcendence and Valkyrie still here to combat this Dragon Blade. No Transcendence on the side of Shanghai. It's really important for Five King to stay alive. Potentially build up towards that Valkyrie.
Last chance saloon here for the Shanghai Dragons, and Pine's having none of it there, going from riding the Pine to riding the Lightning. Look at how he's trying to get away from all this aggressiveness, but MG still catches him out there with the self-destruct. Undead though, he's responded to. He falls. Libero's found Freefill, and Jonak has so much protection. All the big bodies are there to stand in his way and to keep him alive, and it's worked out so well this far. Now it's going to be the Transcendence. You can't break through that one. He's still getting buffeted around, but it's all bluff and blunder from the Shanghai Dragons because they lack the bark and the bite, and that's it. It's a 4-0 series in favor of the New York Excelsior, and I have to say that last map was especially clinical.
Yeah, NYXL really turned up here on Dorado. Able to get a full hold. Shanghai does not take point A. It's a map that we've seen them struggle on. They struggled. They did not take point A against the Gladiators. They come in, do not take point A here against NYXL. It's a very good performance from New York. When they came in here, they handled business.
And in all fairness, the same thing happened to the Los Angeles Gladiators as they tried to attack against New York. Dorado is emerging as definitely one of their strongest maps in the pool. Their defense is so good, so much protection to players like Arc here as well, running down the stage. who can get a lot of that healing done. Jonak is insane. You give this guy space in the same vein as someone like Ru Jae-hong, he will win the game for his team.
Yeah, I think a little bit earlier in the season, the one kind of gripe we had with NYXL is that, they were not great at using their ultimates. You're seeing them over the last few weeks have really progressed with that, not using both support ultimates at the same time, layering the Valkyrie and the Transcendence to get maximum value.
And with that, the New York Excelsior go to 6 wins and just the 1 loss. Shanghai, though, definitely not looking too happy now. It's another loss added onto the tally. A tough season for them, but they're improving every day. It's what we'd love to see. Tough challenge from now. More to come, though, from the guys at Shanghai, New York.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
We are back. The second match of the day is all done. This is day 14 of the regular season, and this is another big win for the NYXL. They now get 4 more map wins, and they're the first team to get to 6 match victories. Let's break down the action here against the Dragons. We bring back in Crumbs and Reinforce one more time. We're going to start things off here going into map number 3. At the half, I asked you, is there any way Shanghai comes back? Both of you said, sadly, you thought it was going to go in the way of the NYXL, but at this moment, we started to think, oh my God, is it going to be the Dragons stealing control away from the NYXL? They got up to 99% before even allowing NYXL on the point.
So, yeah, I actually think last time the Dragons played on the first map in Oasis, their Orisa Hawk combination was part of the reason why they're able to win it. They actually know how to pull off a couple of good pulls right away, and when Undead is popping off so much, you actually get to have a lot of initial charge on your point, but unfortunately, when New York took it back, they did not.
Yeah, and it's pretty weird because Undead had a really solid performance on McCree as well on this very specific Oasis point, of course. So he really knows his way around the flanking, of course. Undead is one of the more flanking McCrees we see generally. McCree tends to stay behind the D.Va with the defense matrix, of course, but Undead, he likes to go for the flanks, he just finds a few picks, etc. So he really knows his way around Oasis, of course, and that is a huge contribution to why Shanghai Dragons in general look so good on this map. So maybe it's one of their better maps moving forward if they want to clinch an upset perhaps versus San Francisco or Florida or whoever's in the way in the future.
I absolutely loved watching the Pine versus Undead matchup. Both players were on McCree for a moment, and you saw both of them just popping off. Pine, he's shown us time and time again what he can do in game threes. Undead, though, is keeping pace.
Yes, he was keeping pace, but as you can see, final blows on the side of Undead, of course, because he got those picks, of course. And then you see the critical hit accuracy where Undead is actually hitting a lot of headshots. And this was mainly because I think that Mono was on the Road Dog. And generally, when you're facing a Road Dog, you're facing a D.Va, there's a lot of potential to hit those headshots because those hitboxes are so big, of course. So that just helps Undead boost his stats a little. But overall, I mean, you can see that NYXL, on the other hand, they're focusing down Undead. He died almost twice as much as Pine. So there is a bit different playstyles coming out of those two players. But I think that Undead overall, he really fits the style of Shanghai Dragons. And I think looking at those stats, I think they look pretty good.
Real quick, I do want to ask you guys, for everyone who's at home and going to be playing ranked games later tonight, you saw it was very even on the first two stages. The third stage, Gardens, when you can get the high ground, this is where it looked like Shanghai fell apart, and this is where New York excelled. Johnny, how do you break this, or Crumbs, how do you break this if you're in games and you see the opponents already set up with the high ground?
Well, I think what gave Shanghai a lot of trouble here was the fact that they started out with a soldier for their initial push to try to get into the high ground. So they lost the initial point and then stuck on the soldier, and the soldier is not going to be able to do anything on that high ground. That's why you see that map. People are typically running your Pharahs, being able to barrage down from above, force people out of that high ground. So I think the composition is what really held back Shanghai. And then besides that, you just have both your tanks dive on through, push people out.
Now, they played a triple tank composition as well, so they made some changes, you know, they tried something different, and I think it could work if you utilize the fact that Mono and Mako, they're so immobile on those heroes. I mean, they're playing a Road Dog and a D.Va. D.Va can fly a bit, but you can hook her back, it's no big deal. So overall, I think they at least had a plan going into the stage, but it didn't really work out for them, and I think overall, New York XL just have a much more solid game plan, especially on Garden, because we saw them pull it out versus Seoul as well, and it worked wonders.
It's really frustrating when you're getting hit in the face by Libero, and then you got Pine poking you in the back on Tracer. Great job by NYXL as they lock up game number 3, and that set up a game 4 on Dorado. And we're not even going to look at the highlights because I want to focus more on the strategies that were employed by the defense. New York XL, near perfect hold on this first point, and Crumbs is going to break it down for us.
Yeah, so I got a neat little Telestrator clip here about the New York XL's defense. So you see that they're running this anti-dive composition. It's a variant of the Roadhog Orisa, but this time with the D.Va. So you see now that they just held a push, and what the Shanghai Dragons are going to try to do now is try to go around the back. So initially, you've seen a lot of strategies where the Genjis are flying around the back, and you see now that Genji is sneaking all the way around. He's right here at the top of your map. You can see him right there, but he's going in with Roshan. But the interesting thing to highlight is that they still don't have vision of the New York Excelsior. And notice where Arc and Pine have gone. They're all the way in the back. They're expecting this dive. So they've left everybody else here in the front to try to scout out where the Shanghai Dragons are coming from. They identify that there's a dive coming through, and they immediately respond. So now the Dragons are going to be thinking, let's go for the dive. Let's see what happens. Can we get the Widowmaker? Well, as soon as they make the jump over, what a surprise. They get headshot. They get bopped right away. The coordinated attack gets immediately thwarted, and the fight goes New York Excelsior's way seamlessly.
I think what's kind of amazing there is I was keeping my eye on Undead on Tracer the entire time. Pine at short range forced Undead back right there. You just have to respect the man. Pine was popping off throughout this series, but he's not our player of the match today. Today, our player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP, is the other DPS, the man that was in the lineup in all of the games against Seoul. He goes off again today on 4 different heroes, and the least he played was Soldier at 15% of his time today. Johnny, what makes this guy such an asset to his squad?
Well, he's the jack of all trades. Typically, you see teams, they make substitutions, especially Seoul, of course. They make substitutions based on their playstyle, what they want to bring to the table. But New York, they don't really need to make the substitutions because Libero, he can play pretty much everything. You can see him on the Genji, you can see him on the Junkrat, another tank, throwing in there the Soldier, etc. So he can play all of these heroes, and I think that's a huge boon to this New York team. The ability to adapt on the fly and not necessarily rely on a player's specialties. For example, you see someone like Bonnie for Soul, who pretty much only plays Tracer, but then you have someone like the Libero who can flex to whatever, whenever, and is very consistent. So I would say that Libero is not necessarily a star player if we compare it to someone like Sabiolbi, but the fact that he can be so consistent on all of these different heroes, it just makes it so much easier for New York to adapt in the moment.
He's kind of like the glue for this squad because it allows everybody else to specialize in their individual roles, and you always have Libero with a wide range of heroes that can always fit the job that is needed when you have, say, Biolby coming in, Pine comes in, maybe Flower comes in next, and so as long as Libero can play everything, which he does, then everybody's fine specializing in just becoming that much better at individual roles, like, say, Biolby's Tracer that straight up wins games on its own.
I was thinking glue too. I think glitter is probably a better analogy. So many different colors, depends on the light of the day. Libero gets our player of the match for match number 2, but we still have the biggest game of stage 1, arguably, coming up next. Are you guys fired up for this one? Wake up, LA! Up next, we got the London Spitfire taking on the Seoul Dynasty as each team is looking to improve to 6 match wins. We'll be right back.